Welcome back to Those Are My Thoughts podcast, where we share our thoughts on popular fantasy reads. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Sarah. Before we get into our topic today, which is Daggermouth by H.M. Wolfe, we are going to pause because this week we got, I think just a couple days ago, we finally got a Sarah J. Maas update. She was on Call Her Daddy, and Jillian and I did debrief a little bit over FaceTime, but we need to just chat about everything the Queen SJM gave us.
Yes.
What are our thoughts on this conversation? And how many more days until October 27th, which is when ACOTAR 6 is in our hands?
Okay, I feel like I'm glad I've had a few days to let it marinate, honestly.
Mhm.
It's been almost a week since it came out. It came out last Wednesday.
Okay.
So, which I'm glad, because I feel like when it first happened, the hard part about listening to that episode on, like live, like on time, which we did,
Yes.
like it was hard to enjoy the interview because I was so anxious for the announcement, which I knew was going to be happening at some point.
Yeah.
So I think, like Sarah had said afterwards, like if I was just listening to it with no, like, just like around the house cleaning, listening to a podcast, I think I would have really enjoyed it. But because I wasn't listening to it like that, and I was like picking it apart and I was waiting for an announcement, it was hard to enjoy the podcast. But I think after like marinating on the actual podcast interview, and I haven't rewatched it, but I almost like want to listen to it again.
Yeah, same.
Because I feel like there was so many good nuggets in there too. She was so funny to me because she was so like, I almost think, sorry, do you think that she was like playing it off? Like, obviously she's a genius, and she was kind of playing it off like, oh, we're all thinking too much into it, like wink, wink. And it's like, wait, you know what I mean? I think, I don't know, because like she played it off in the beginning of the podcast and the middle. Yeah. Like Alex would ask her questions and she would be like, oh, I don't know. It just like wrote it. And I don't even think about it. It just kind of happened that way. And I was like, there's no way that like all just Throne of Glass did not just happen that way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But then when she's like doing the like quick questions afterwards, she's kind of like
getting flustered.
You can see like it is all like completely thought out. She knows what's up. She's tricking us. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
I think I lean towards the side that's like, she knows her process and it makes sense to her. So when she's asked point blank, how did you do this? She's like, what do you mean? How did I did it? That's my writing process.
Yeah, totally.
But I also ended that podcast going, oh, yeah. Like I was reminded, you've been in this a while. You are excellently PR trained.
Totally.
You know what you are and are not allowed to talk about. And she just, have you seen the hilarious memes of like her dodging questions? It's so funny. Yeah, I just think that she knew like there's one thing I'm allowed to talk to you about today, and that's that 6 and 7 are on their way, and I cannot say anything else. And so everything was like, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. But I do love hearing like her emotional ties to like her stories and like her personal life kind of poured out into these stories and things like that, or if friends she knows like from a domestic violence standpoint or whatever, because she's not been through that. But and I like how she addressed some of the more controversial things in the series without giving spoilers on, you know, the series. I won't like go into it, but I like how she addressed them and kind of was like, well, that's kind of where I was in my journey with something similar. And you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, yeah, some people do have that experience and it's scary or whatever. And, you know, Reese was feeling one way or the other or whatever it is. And then also her, like, Nesta is such a polarizing character in the series. Like, people either love her or hate her kind of situation. And I think it was really cool listening to her talk about the complexity of Nesta through Sarah's eyes and the things she had to go through in therapy that were similar to what Nesta had to go through in and not in therapy, but essentially, you know what I mean, in the book.
Oh, yeah.
And the parallels between her and Nesta. And I think I'm such a Nesta stan, but I always have been. Like, yes. I've always loved Silver Flames. Like, I always resonated with that. Like, I totally, and how she's just not a perfect person. And that's like part of the good things of that character. And part of why I think Sarah is such a genius. Like, they're human characters with like flaws and good parts and things you can pick apart. Like, none of them are going to be perfect all the time. And I think that's something that's like lovely about the character Sarah writes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, you said like some of the political topics that came up. I really enjoyed, and this was bound to happen with Alex Cooper and the topics she covers on her podcast, but I really enjoyed that she asked her point blank of like pushback of getting published, pushback of like, I think she just asked something broad, which was, how do you respond when people try to put you in a box as an author? Or how do you respond when people blah, blah, blah? And I loved that Sarah talked about the smut topic. And there is so many opinions on the subject. But when it comes down to it, I align with what Sarah J. Maas said, which was, how are you going to tell me that just because my books have sex in it that aren't a closed door or a fade to black scene, that it devalues the work I've done? You can't like take those points out, which I also love that she said like there are some of them that are essential to the plot, but take some of those out and you still have human life that you're reading about. And to bring it down to where she was like, I'm writing about human experience. Sex is a part of a human experience. Like, what do you want from me? Kind of situation. Loved it. Loved her. Also, something I enjoyed is her, and it was as she's talking about Nesta's character and how she wanted to express, she said something like, sometimes I feel furious, or I have a lot of emotion to share, or people expect me to be this way, but actually I have big emotions about that. I get angry about that. And maybe as women, we are expected to be sweet and kind and small and soft. She's like, what if I wrote a character who wasn't those things and was allowed to feel the big feelings and say the things that might not everybody agrees with? Loved all of that. You and I did text each other, like, when did we forget that this is just like a human nerding out on what makes her happy? Like,
she's such a nerd. I think like
she's a nerd.
And the thing is, like, I'm never surprised. Like, we've talked about this with Rebecca Yarros and stuff because like she's such a nerd. And I think like in some ways we are too, because we read these books, but I think
of course
you have to be an extra special level of nerd to write these books. The thing is, like, I love that. I find it extremely endearing and so human. Like, I think there's something like, especially because she doesn't write her characters like, I mean, they're like bookworms, but she doesn't write her characters all nerdy, like emo, like, I don't even know.
No, but some authors do, not her. These are like the beautiful babes of the village.
Right. So I think just like hearing her talk about like her upbringing and like she had like these parents who like were just like lawyers and they didn't understand. You don't get me, Mom. Like, and I'm just going to go in my room and write.
Let me watch
like,
Sailor Moon.
You will never understand me. Like, that's how I saw Sarah writing her book. She's like, totally. To her professor, like, no, I don't want to do these poems, Professor. I just want to write fantasy books. Like, she was so rock and roll. Like, I don't know, but just like the nerdiest way. And it's just so funny. It. We need to like pause for a second. She looked gorgeous.
Sarah, send us your skincare routine. Send us the hair routine. What are we doing?
Stylist, whoever styled her, first of all, like her literal outfit, loved. And then
the blue in her eyes.
Her makeup artist posted like a picture of her.
Oh, did she?
Yes, it came up on my like Explorer on Instagram.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, stunning picture of her makeup. Flawless. I almost want to like see a tutorial. I love what products does she use? Like, I literally loved her makeup. I seriously, she's never looked better.
No, she looks incredible.
Beautiful.
She looks refreshed, restored, ready to write us ACOTAR 8.
So that brings me to the announcement. 2 books within 4 months. 2 books within 4 months.
And in case you missed, like maybe you're just looking at highlights on social media platforms and you didn't listen to her explain it, Sarah J. Maas explained that what came to her when she was ready to start writing more for the ACOTAR world was a story. And she literally said how publishing works, how producing books works. There's not enough glue to bind this story together that I want to make you. So I have decided to split it into 4 parts, but it's a story that's meant to be read all together. And then she explained to us that this 4-part book will be part 1, ACOTAR 6, part 2 and 3, ACOTAR 7, that comes to us January, and then part 4, which is ACOTAR 8, and she said it's yet to be written. It's the next thing on the list.
I'm thinking of it almost like the first 3 books of ACOTAR. Like,
me too.
So in the same way that A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin are one story. It is one story, like front to back. Like if you read them in a row, it's one thing. And then you kind of have that novella to break up in between. And then you have Nesta and Cassian's story, which is like, that seems completed to me. Like that's a completed story.
Yeah, that's what you said. Maybe they'll get like some, not even development, but just check-ins in the background of somebody's story, kind of.
Totally.
Like,
well, we did that. We got that in. Yes.
Does.
Yeah.
But my prediction is, and I think you're aligned, that this next huge story that we're getting in 6, 7, and 8 is Elaine and the counterpart. I think that we'll get a huge story about Azriel and a huge story about Lucian. I'm not saying who she's choosing, but I do think those are our main characters. Who else? Oh, and the girls. Gwen.
I don't think I don't know what it's going to be. I have to say, like, yes, I think like at the core of it, it's going to be Elaine and Azriel. To which extent the rest of the characters are front facing, I think there's a big possibility we're getting like more front facing characters along with that. I'm not saying, and because I'm saying it's Elaine and Azriel, I'm not saying I think they're going to end up together, by the way. I don't know what I believe.
No, me neither. Don't come for us.
But I do think that their stories will intertwine with each other. And I think that this book will be multi-POV, mostly from Elaine and Azriel. And I think the rest of it is potential POVs from Eris, potential POVs from Lucian, potential POVs from Moore. That's what I would guess.
On our FaceTime call, I'm just remembering that when it ended, my immediate response to you, we were like, okay, so predictions for book. And I said, look, I think what I just learned watching this podcast was it's not that complicated. Sarah's pretty straightforward. She wrote about 2 sisters. There's only one left. She's going to write about the 3rd sister. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the boys. There's 3 brothers. She's going to write about the 3rd brother. That's just it. Stop making it more complicated. And I agree with what you're saying. Like other characters will come into it, but these 2 are going to be the stars.
I actually will almost put a stake in the ground. I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say something about who I think Elaine is going to end up with, but she said on the podcast multiple times, like sometimes fate makes a mistake. And like, I think that's setting us up for Lucian and Elaine aren't mates, or they aren't going to be right for each other mates. I think
and then
not
Lucian
to
just
say,
gets a tragic story.
No, maybe Lucian finds somebody else.
Hopefully, because I just feel for Lucian. He always... sorry, we're getting into spoilers, but...
Oh, yeah, we really... oops, sorry. I said no spoilers earlier. My bad. With no major spoilers. But, yeah, I think... I don't know. I won't talk about actual in-depth things. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be about Elaine and Azriel to some extent. Also, sorry, did you see my... she... Call Her Daddy did a little thing afterwards where she was like...
Asking her questions or something?
Which book boyfriend for this? Which book boyfriend for that? And so it was like, she was asking questions about like, which one would be in each scenario and how many times she said Cassian in that. And I was like,
Jillian felt seen.
I'm sorry for
Cassian.
Rowan,
miss you.
Rowan, Reese, and Hunt all get multiple books of like I'm in front book boyfriend.
Totally.
And Cassian gets one and still
comes out on top. Oh God, he's amazing.
She chose him for almost half of the answers, and it's like, sorry, because Cassian's the best. He's everyone's like favorite emotionally intelligent golden retriever boyfriend, and I love him so much.
I want to be back with them. Okay.
So very excited for that.
Will we, I can cut this out if we don't know where this is going to go, but will we be talking about ACOTAR on the podcast? Will we be doing a reread? Will we be?
We haven't fleshed out an idea of what that's going to look like yet, but I definitely think we will be making podcast episodes on ACOTAR before release date for sure.
Yeah. Yes, totally. And obviously we'll be reading them. So I can't wait. Freaking can't wait. I think that's all for Sarah J. Maas.
I agree.
Let's get into this book that we finished last night, basically, and within the same hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We stepped outside of our comfort read, which is romantasy, and we read a dystopian, which I am seeing as in the category of like fiction dystopian. It's not even in the fantasy category.
Yeah.
There's no magic in this world. H.M. Wolfe wrote us this book. Holy crap.
From here on out, spoilers for this entire book. So if you have not read Daggermouth, please read it and come back because we will ruin it for you very quickly.
Please come back because you have to read it and then we need to talk about it.
This book is, like, I think if I were to describe this book in one word, I would say, like, heartbreaking?
Brutal. Yeah.
Brutal.
I would say brutal.
Brutal.
Brutal. I was a little hesitant to start this book because I thought it was going to be like maybe too dark. And so when I go to my books to feel refreshed, I wouldn't feel that way. I don't think I knew what to get into it. And if we're being honest, the internet convinced us to read it because we kept seeing so many people say, I just finished Daggermouth, I'm crying my eyes out, or I just finished Daggermouth, I can't function, which are all the things we look for in a good read. So we're like, this must be next. But I will say, like, just write them out of everything. It is a horrific, brutal, very gory book. You need to, obviously, if you're still here, you've read it. So if you're recommending it to people, make sure they read the content warnings because heavy topics.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I
We're just a little destroyed.
Yeah, it's hard to like say that you loved something that also
and it was so hard.
Yeah, it was a hard read, and I don't mean that in like it was hard to like it was beautifully written. I mean that in like I think at some point, like fairly early on, but maybe by at least halfway through, I kind of realized like this was ending in tragedy. Like there's no way.
Yeah, same.
I know people are not making out of this alive. And at what point are people going to die? It could be at any moment kind of situation. But I think this story was like a beautiful ode to survivors of abuse.
Yeah.
It just was all of these people who had been incredibly abused by this one person, really, and the system he created.
The system he created, because then he creates all of these men who go home and abuse their wives.
Ugh.
I know.
All of this, once we get like through halfway, you start kind of like every chapter you hear about like, because the truth starts coming out because people are like, we're not lying about it anymore. So then people keep like bringing out these things and you see this healing. And I will say when did you realize Callum was going to be the casualty?
Probably when him and Lyra get together.
Yeah.
I was like, oof, one of you, and I was leaning towards Callum, is not making it out of here because we're just getting emotionally attached and you're beautiful and I want you to win.
Same.
Yeah.
And they weren't the main characters. So I thought like for the plot, we don't necessarily need them to make it out, and we know too much and we're too emotionally invested. One of these people is not making this out of the story.
Which I think there's just so many things I could praise this author for, because one, how do you make me love somebody who's not even the main male character? Like I root for him, I vouch for him. I think I finished this book and I go, "You're my favorite. You're incredible," which is in a lot of ways the right person to kill off, because then you feel like this and it makes for a better reading experience. I know. Number 2, the way that she kept us as readers in the dark and introduced information slowly all the way up until the last page was a masterpiece. And then number 3 was the way that she had every character separated in their own corner with their own mission, their own goal, even in their own district. And then slowly to the last page, she takes away those barriers and we find our found family. We unite. We have one focus. And of course, it all explodes at the end. But I just thought, like, what excellent writing.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting, like, the level of which we're kind of introduced to the abuse of Maximus is like, okay, like, we know he's a bad guy, obviously. But then we get into that, like, first dinner with him, with the families like sitting together at dinner, and he slaps his wife across the face for like talking out of turn.
And I think it like notes that she's bleeding under her mask.
Oh, well, let's talk about the masks, because the whole time it is set up to be like the reason that the heart people wear masks is because they're so elite. You can't look upon their faces because like they're elite, blah, blah, blah. And it's not till the end that you realize the masks are there so that the men can beat their wives without
Nobody
evidence.
knows they're getting abused. Yep. They're already not allowed to speak out of turn, and now you literally can't see any physical signs of what they're going through.
It is... I can't even... It's hard to talk about, honestly. When the women removed their masks at the end of the book, it was so beautiful. And then when they all stood there and Maximus was like, oh, this little rebellion of yours has more legs than I thought. And it's like, these women are just, these women, the people in the Boundary, the people in Cardinal, they're all over being abused. Like, no one wants to be so taken advantage of. Because the whole time I think you're so focused on the abuse of the outer rings. You're not focusing on anything that's going on within heart. Like, and I think the whole story is kind of like this realization of like, we're all the same. We're all enduring different kinds of abuse. It looks different. I thought I'd hated you, but you're not my real enemy here. There's one common enemy here. Yeah, it was just so beautifully written.
Something that made me weepy twice in this book, and I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it right now, was the representation of womanhood and the concept of like together is better. We don't have to suffer alone and isolate. There is multiple times, but I'm thinking about the time when Lyra finds out who is in the weapons room, takes the gun, goes and kills him, walks back into the room. I think I'm going to cry. She lets like them know who he is and what happened to her. And there's the moment where Shadira steps up and like, at this point, she's already helped Lyra through a panic attack. And so they have a bond. They talk about like kind of outside of this, they might not trust each other, but as trauma does, as these moments do, they bond you. And so Shadira steps up in that moment, being able to understand where she's from, her hurt, her trauma, and just lets her know, like, I'm on your side and you never have to do this alone again. We're here, and thanks for letting us share the burden with you, essentially.
I think it like does speak to the women being there for each other, because like even in that moment, the men are busy trying to, they're almost like taking it personally that they didn't know. They're like, I thought I was protecting you. Like, oh my gosh. Like they're busy in their own mind of like, Shadira just is like, Nothing matters.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Nothing else matters. All you need to know is you're no longer alone.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
When she wrote in the note, like, for what it's worth, I always wanted a sister too. Like, I seriously, like, Lyra just laid me in the whole time.
I seriously feel like I'm on the edge of a breakdown right now talking about this.
Will we make it through this episode without crying? The answer is no.
Dear Lord. It's just, I think if you're a female alive, no matter what country you live in, what religion you're from, what language you speak, you experience these things, whether if they're only emotional or they're physical or they're both, or they're in your workplace or in your home. I don't think there's a way that you read this book as a woman and you can't relate and you can't identify, even if you haven't been through the extremes of the topics that they're talking about. This is what makes this book excellent to me, is this author took some real life shit and made it into a beautiful homecoming of what restoration and healing and hope looks like.
I think that Maximus is potentially the worst villain I've ever read. And I think part of it is because when we're normally reading fantasy, there's kind of this like step out of like the gore, the whatever. It all kind of like goes away quickly because they're fae and they heal fast in 10 minutes and like whatever. And there's this thing of like this
so right.
This suspended reality where like, yes, they emotionally have to work through stuff similarly, but like a lot of the other stuff goes away. And I think this felt like so real. Like, I know there's people that do this crap to other people and it's so disgusting. And I think as a parent now too, thinking about Mikkel, thinking about Alara, thinking about the things that they had to see this man do to their babies. And Lyra was a baby when she was sent to 14. Like a lamb to the slaughter. Like it was just like, given away until Alara had to step in. And it was one of the few times that she put her foot down. But I think the same thing about Mikkel, like with Grayson, knew what was happening, did his best to try to cover things up and stop it and whatever it might be. And eventually saved his life with his own. But I think there's like, it's so, because that stuff happens in real life. And it's almost like awful reading it.
Yeah.
You know?
Other heavy topics are suicide. Our main MMC is suicidal the entire book. And so that was a hard topic reading about, of just him constantly on, which is interesting because I think a lot of our main characters we read about go through this in a lot of books that we read, but this book, and maybe it's because there's no magical element, so they're not supernaturally healing. This book, it's like he stays on that precipice the entire book. We learn that he was that way long before we met him. We learn up until the last chapter that you're reading that he is very willing and kind of wanting to accept death as his next option. Something fascinating about this book is true enemies to lovers. These two were truly, and it's cool because you're in third person, so you do get to bounce around between the thoughts of everybody. When they start to come to terms with, I think I might want to sleep with you, it's like they're coming to terms at the same time with, shoot, I think I'm falling for you. It's not how it normally is in our books of like this most beautiful person that I've ever seen in the whole wide world walked in. No, neither one of them has that moment.
Yeah, it's the emotional piece comes first of like realizing that we are more similar than we thought. We have been through similar things. We have a common goal. Like those things come first. And then the beauty starts to be like noticed after things start happening. Well, I say that, but
what happened?
The first night that they like are enemies. They're like yelling at each other, whatever. She's breaking into his stuff. She goes to her room and like masturbates, and then he's like, I can't get that sound out of my mind. So like initially there is some of like, I can't think you're hot because you're my enemy.
There is. I guess it just wasn't like as heavy as I feel it is. And I feel like in our other books, which are typically romantasy, as soon as somebody goes, I hate them, but also they're kind of hot.
Yeah.
As soon as that happens, the very first time in the inner monologue, it doesn't like, within the next couple chapters, we're lovers.
Yeah.
They're not enemies. And in this, it was like, we still had scenes where they were literally shooting each other with gun. We still had scenes where she was like promising that she would kill him. Don't worry.
They shot each other and kissed immediately.
Okay. Let's talk about the dark foreplay. Because this is one of my favorite lines from Callum.
Not getting an actual smut scene from those two when I know it's going to be so insane.
It's going to be intense. But what great writing that those two actually never got together, and we're like vouching for them. I want them to be together forever.
Because the one scene we got, I was like, ah.
Yeah.
It was good.
I think you were texting me. But that is one of my favorite moments so I was like a couple chapters ahead of you. I had read it. I'm waiting for you to catch up. And you messaged me like, you said like they shot each other. So I knew it was coming next. And then I think you said something like, I'm sorry, but is this happening while there's like dead bodies all around the room? And I'm crying laughing because I'm like, what does it say about me that I did not notice that?
That's all I could think about.
All I could think about is like, you guys just shot each other, so you have like open wounds and you're bleeding. But we're thinking about... That's what I was thinking about. But then my favorite line of the whole book comes. Callum walks in and whatever it is, maybe it's the next chapter, and he says something about like...
We'll get to that crazy foreplay later, or whatever. He like
we'll get to that murder foreplay later. We're going to talk about that. Like...
I did love. I did absolutely love getting his POV, like the Callum POV of like the little things that Shadira and Grayson were doing. Like she was so comfortable. Like she was like sitting on the table, swinging her legs. She was like, whatever. Their elbows were touching or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Callum's like, y'all, you guys are obsessed with each other.
So cute.
I love it. He's like, and his inner monologue was like, I wonder if other people can tell this stuff about me and Lyra when we're like around each other. Exactly. Oh, I'm gonna miss his like comedic relief in the next book for sure.
Callum, you are my favorite. Can we talk about?
Go for it.
The brother.
Yeah, can we talk about Brooker?
I was going to say, I still cannot believe that he's actually evil. What?
Is he or is...
While reading it, I was like, okay, Sarah, don't forget, you're supposed to be believing what the author's telling you. But I was like, no, there's no way.
Well, because what ends up happening to him? He gets, like, what?
The Vera, how do we say that?
Yeah.
The guards, Vera is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Shelter him and remove him from the scene.
That's right.
So he's alive.
Right. I am wondering, though, like, well, because Maximus was like, oh, we all planned this. We knew we were going to infiltrate him into this stuff. Because I'm not even kidding you. It was so not on my radar, which maybe it should have been on my radar. But it was so not on my radar that he was going to be the one to flip or something like that. That like...
Which person?
Brooker. I was not expecting him to like...
No.
That was a surprise. But it was so not on my radar that when he was talking about like all the things, he was like, Maximus was telling them like, oh, I know all your plans or whatever. And in my inner monologue, I was like, who's the rat? Like, who's the snake here? Like I was thinking to myself, like, who is it going to be? And then when it was Brooker, I was like, wait, that wasn't even close to my radar. I did not even think about that.
And Maximus kind of lets us know that all the people that we have met from the outer rings are alive. So Pharaoh's alive. He didn't want to kill her. Jameson alive. Jager alive. So that's definitely coming up next book. Like, where are they? Where are they being held? Can we rescue them?
Okay, I was saying Jagger, but it's spelled like the word Jaeger, right?
Jaeger. Oh.
I think it's Jaeger.
Like a Jaeger bomb?
Yeah.
I would have told you that was spelled with a Y, is it not?
It's spelled with a J.
Great to know. Okay.
Jägermeister.
Well, that's definitely how we should be saying it. Jaeger. Things that surprised me in this book. So you get these info dumps. I was never surprised that Brooker was alive, and I don't think you were either. Very early in the book, we were like, oh, the oldest sibling, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just kind of like, okay, can't wait for you to show up later. So he shows up, sees Lyra, not shocked in any way.
The older brother is never dead, if we're learning anything.
Never. Yeah, if you're going to read any more books, just keep that in mind. I was very shocked that Michael was his dad, which I do feel like there was a lot of foreshadow to that, so I just think I was blind. Were you shocked by that?
No, sorry, I was thinking about how you said Michael, and I said Mikkel. Maybe we're saying different things.
Let's just say both so we cover, surely one has to be right. I have no idea which one.
Okay. Yes, I was very surprised about that. That took me,
I thought so.
I was, when he was, I'm on the rebellion side, I thought maybe he was going to flip and turn them in eventually, until it came out that Grayson was his son.
Yeah.
And the in-between time when he was like, I'm on your side, I was like, uh-oh. Like, I don't know. But Jaeger already knew that Grayson was his son, so he would have been able to trust him. So
she kept us guessing the entire time. Another surprise for me was what Lyra did. Like, that she had a backup plan that nobody knew. I wasn't expecting her to lock out Callum. I wasn't expecting her to have a presentation.
She wasn't the one who locked out Callum. No, it was
Maximus.
It was, and Brooker. It was that situation. So, like, it just coincided with Lyra being like...
That was a little confusing.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it was all clashing.
Because when he called Pharaoh, is it? I don't remember. He was like, what did Lyra tell you? What did Lyra tell you? And she's like, just this. Like, what do you mean? Whatever. I can't get in. None of my codes are working. None of my overrides are working. All of this stuff. And then it was like him trying to get in. And that's when it all went down. And it was like, guess what? We know what your plans were the entire time. We were able to lock you out. Everyone's already in lockdown. That's why he can't get in touch with Jameson or anybody. So none of that was Lyra. That was all Brooker. I think that she just was waiting till the last. He would have tried to stop her from doing what she had already done, kind of situation.
Oh.
But then he couldn't fix what he needed to have kind of like fixed. But yeah, it was Brooker.
Okay, so that was a shock moment. Then we're on the platform. I was shocked by Brooker's, what's that called? Like,
reveal.
He's actually evil.
Yeah,
reveal. And then Alara, I guess when that got set in motion, I was like, sure, she's had enough. Here we go. We're taking revenge. I was not expecting.
That,
she deserves it. Go for it. Love that we're ending on this note. I was not expecting that she's been a double agent for a very long time and has been building a rebellion from, I don't know. We're going to find out next book.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting there to be more depth to that.
No, I completely agree.
Oh my God. She has so many great lines.
She did.
I highlighted a lot in this book.
That's funny. No, I agree. There was a lot of really good lines from all of the characters, like literally all of the characters. We haven't talked about Jameson yet, and I feel like
I need to talk about him.
Him as a character is so interesting to me because usually the guy that's in love with our FMC, that it's like, okay, we're gonna end up not loving him, but I actually think we're gonna like love him forever. He is such a good man, and like he is, my heart breaks because I know he's in love with Shadira, but maybe like something else is gonna happen because she's gonna end up with Grayson. So it's kind of like she was never into him, which is like, that's a hard thing. Like even when he came over at the beginning and they were having sex or whatever and he said like, I love you, I don't even know. And she was like, whoa, like that's a bit much. Like she was not into like the feelings of it all. And maybe that was because of where she was. But I also think like there was some things stopping her from feeling that way. And she did not have the same thoughts and reservations when it came to Grayson later in the book. So interesting, but we didn't get to like see where the end of his story went at the end of this book. So I'm very, very excited to see him in the next book and see how that story develops. But him with that whole situation with the Boundary people attacking the car and then a bunch of people dying, and then that kid died and he like promised the mom he would get revenge or whatever. Yeah, all of that. I loved him in this book. I don't want him for Shadira, but I do love him, and I'm rooting for him as a character.
Love him. I really like when an author makes me want to root for the first love interest. I don't like when I can too easily write them off. Like, okay, I know you're on the out, whatever. She made me believe for him and his cause and in his life. And I completely agree. I want him alive. I want him to find somebody that loves him back. If I was in this world, it would be me and Jameson.
Really?
Yeah. I love him.
It would hopefully be me and Callum.
You can have Callum.
I love Callum.
I love him. I think he would be my best friend. I would be with Jameson.
Yeah. No, I could see that.
No. Callum's dead.
I knew it was coming too in that moment. And I was like, oh.
And I typically have like a crazy theory as to how somebody's not really dead, but no, he's a goner.
He's dead.
This world doesn't have any.
He reminded me of
surprises
of Fourth Wing.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? I was like, no, he's gone.
I have maybe think if you have more thoughts on this book, but I have a update for you about Fourth Wing. This will be no spoilers for Fourth Wing. Just a little life update. One of my friends here in Arizona, okay, she's the one who had me read Beach Read by Emily Henry, I think. This is a friend who read ACOTAR, became obsessed, and immediately hard pivoted to romance and romance only, and never came back to anything with magic or fantasy. And so she was finishing up maternity leave and thought, you know what? At the end of my maternity leave, I'm going to try this Fourth Wing thing. Became obsessed by like chapter 1, which I was shocked by because that was you. For me, it took half the book of Fourth Wing. And obsessed. She gets her husband to start Fourth Wing. So her husband is starting or just finished Iron Flame. She's at the end of Onyx Storm, and they both are obsessed.
How's it feel to be God's favorite? Like,
how's
my
it feel?
husband,
let us know.
My husband won't do it out of like just sheer like stubbornness. He won't. And I'm like, we could make content. It'd be amazing.
Exactly.
He won't do it.
For my husband, who has all of the opinions about this podcast and ideas, you would think he'd be willing to do something for the content. I do have to say, I wanted to say on this, I was supposed to say it earlier when we were talking about Sarah J. Maas, but I do need to shout out my husband, and he's probably listening. This man sat through the whole Sarah J. Maas podcast episode with me. Like, chair in front of TV screen, intently listening. And he could give two shits. So
That's so sweet.
I felt loved. It was very sweet. And he had engaging questions and afterwards had thoughts and opinions. He did think it was boring, but that's besides the matter.
It kind of was. Sorry, Sarah. Okay, wait. I have I know you're talking about doing an ACOTAR reread, and I know you're really like heart set on an ACOTAR reread.
What are you going to say next?
But I think there's a lot of people who have already read ACOTAR that need to read a certain other 3 books before the next 2 come out.
Crescent City.
What about a Crescent City reread?
Jillian, you know that I'm down.
But I don't think we can do all of them.
Here's my thing. You know that ACOTAR is my first love, as is Fourth Wing is your first love.
For sure.
There's a special place in the heart.
I know.
I don't see myself picking up a new book without rereading ACOTAR. However, I could probably double up and do both and just cut out all my audiobooks or something.
Okay, I'm thinking, what if you reread ACOTAR,
Okay.
We do a podcast episode on the ACOTAR books or 2 or whatever. And I'm down to, I can talk about ACOTAR all day. I've deep dived it before.
Okay.
But I don't know that I feel the need to reread. I might if you're into it, but I think I need to reread Crescent City.
I mean, we have wanted to read Crescent City for a long time.
I'm just saying.
And
I think it'll be like people need to read. Like I have people have been in my DMs about like, or I have seen them like post like, oh, I guess I finally need to read Crescent City now. Like I finally need to like bite the bullet and read Crescent City before the next book comes out. And I'm like, you do.
I'm always down to reread.
I do have one of my like close friends here that is, she like voice noted me the other day and she was like, she had 3 options she was giving me. She has read all of Fourth Bank, loved it. I can't remember what else. She always comes to me when she like has something. She's like, you're my, she says I'm her romantasy correspondent. And she will voice note me when she's like trying to decide what her next read is. She's like, I want to read a romantasy next. She's like, Quicksilver, Daggermouth, which is not romantasy, but whatever. Or ACOTAR, the ACOTAR series. And I was I was like, well, this is, she was like, maybe ACOTAR is like too much. So like probably the other 2, right? And I was like,
no, actually the other way around.
Oh, because she had heard, she was like, I heard people are like, oh, the first book sucks. You have to get through it. Then you get to that. And first of all, like to everybody who says that, like, first
Amen.
of all, you did not hate the first ACOTAR book. I know you didn't. It was,
Stop
you
lying.
did not read The Worm and like not be like on the edge of your dang seat. Like you
Thank you.
It is good. Like get out.
It's
yes.
Great. Under the Mountains. Stop it.
Yes, it's Tamlin, but it's a good book. And then you get to like book 2 and it's even better. It like, it gets sweeter with each one. So I'm like, no. Like I was like, listen, you have to. And then literally 2 days later, it came out that the next books are coming out this year. And I was like, I texted her, I was like, Blake, it's non-negotiable. You need to be reading this. And I almost want like her raw reactions after each book. Like what if we made like, I don't know, like obviously like, but that'd be so fun to get like her like, without having read the other books, get her reactions on book 1. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be so good.
Do it. That's kind of what we were supposed to do with my friend Maddie with Throne of Glass, but she never finished the series, so that's out the window.
Right. Okay.
She's like in the middle of Kingdom of Ash.
Oh.
We still need to have a bigger conversation about this sometime this week.
Yes.
But
yeah, cut any of that out that you want to. Do you have any more thoughts on the Daggermouth and the sequel that's probably coming out this year? That's going to be, I'm assuming, what Alara's rebellion has been, maybe her backstory, what she's been doing behind the scenes. And then I think like obviously probably the villain now is Brooker, right? So it's going to be him as the heir going up to Maximus's seat.
Ascension.
Yeah,
I imagine so. And then they all band together to take down Brooker and then rebuild Kingdom. No, I don't have more thoughts.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this book, even though it emotionally destroyed me. Love it. This is what we mean by how I want to end a book, staring at a wall.
Perfect to read during International Women's Month, International Women's Day week,
How did we
whatever.
plan that without planning that?
Yeah.
Perfection.
You can't read that book and not be like, women are going to...
Women rule the world.
Yes, for sure.
That's it. Goodness. Okay, well, those are my thoughts. We'll be back whenever book number 2 comes out. And come on, people, go read your ACOTAR books. Go read your Crescent City books. Let's get ready for October. Okay, see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We also want to be your long-distance book bestie. You can find this podcast on all your favorite listening platforms. You can watch us on YouTube at Those Are My Thoughts Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, My Thoughts Pod. On TikTok, mythoughts.pod.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and book recommendations. Email us at thosearemythoughtspod@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. We love you. See you next time. Bye.